You're tuned into news across the galaxy where they talk all things LA Galaxy with the Nag Boys. Let's start nagging.
Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to all our fellow G's and extended MLS family. Welcome to the holiday edition of the Midweek Show. I'm your host for tonight, Edgar Zuniga. On ones and twos, we have Bryant. Thank you so much for taking... Hell yeah, let's hear it for Bryant, baby. Thank you so much for taking time out of your holiday schedule. We have a very special guest for you tonight. Entering its 30th season, MLS is set to expand to 30 teams with the San Diego Football Club. From me and all of us at News Across the Galaxy, we would like to extend a very warm welcome to the newest members of the MLS family, Tony and Chiva, co-hosts of the Two Balls and a Mic podcast, and co-founders of San Diego Futbol. Guys, welcome to the family.
Oh, gracias. Thank you for having us again, Edgar, and the extended MLS multiverse that is being discovered here by Chiva and myself down in San Diego. We've been met with nothing but grace and warmth so far. Hopefully it remains that way, and the hostilities will remain for what happens on the pitch, because at the end of the day, we're here to talk football and help analyze what happens between the lines. And you know what? Again, bendito sea MLS. For gracing.
Oh, yeah, thank you for having us. Absolutely. Thank you for having us. And I mean, we're both excited to dive into this new MLS world. And I mean, we've been covering San Diego for a while now, and now we're diving into the big waters of MLS.
Well, guys, in our conversations, you've mentioned to me before that you've been covering soccer in San Diego for 5 years now, and it'll be 6 next season. What encouraged you guys to start covering soccer, and how did you start the podcast?
It's a very interesting story with Chiva and I having worked together at a nonprofit organization and after school programming through let's just say it's the YMCA, guys. We currently still work there. It's our full-time job. A couple of years ago, Chiva and I were tasked with reserving a fire pit in Mission Bay for a staff bonfire. And so, be as it may, in the summer, you need to be there early. So we made the trek, and it was just Chiva and I, and Wi-Fi was not good at all. We were sitting there and through the day, just to pass the time, I had a piece of paper and we just started talking soccer and just going back and forth and remembering, just certain teams, doing a list of like, hey, all right, all-time 11 Mexico. All right. Okay. Why is he there? No way. All right. That's fine. And just kind of really getting to know each other on and respecting, like, all right, like he knows what he's talking about. All right. Okay. Well, let's do this. And we had that idea that day to say, hey, we're going to start a podcast, and we're going to go ahead and not just be guys around phone on table. We're going to do this right. So we're going to have a plan. We're going to have a deadline. If we don't do anything by this date, we're just not going to do it. That day did end up coming in, and we started the podcast, Two Balls and a Mic. We've been doing it for now 257 consecutive weeks. We haven't missed a week since actually doing that episodic podcast. Which means if you do the math, we started the podcast high pandemic, as the pandemic was starting and sports were dying. So we've made it happen. We used to have online FIFA tournaments where you would just choose a team, and computer versus computer, whoever won the tournament gets a Best Buy gift card, because that's all we can do for entertainment purposes. But ultimately, we started covering San Diego Loyal and getting to really have a crash course in essentially journalism, for lack of a better term. And we've been covering the team, and we see that there's a need of people wanting to talk soccer. The big shop, the legacy media, doesn't necessarily cover a lot of soccer and talk about it in the ways that we enjoy. So we just hope to bring people together and really have an opportunity to enjoy the game as much as we enjoy the game. And look, we were going to start talking Champions League and we're going to talk this, but we fell in love with the scene locally here in San Diego. And it's led us to honestly be in places that we never imagined. And, it's the adventure of a lifetime is what I always say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like how Tony was saying on fire, I went ahead and told him, hey, you know what? When I was at SDSU, I was doing the college radio and I was just talking soccer. And he said, oh, okay, you have a little background in this. Like maybe we can start this. And that's how we kind of started. We started in my classroom, in my the after school program, like Tony was saying, at the YMCA. And from there, we just moved into his garage as our studio where Tony is right now. That's where we do our episodes. And it's been so much fun. We felt, like Tony said, we fell in love with local soccer just as we started the podcast. San Diego Loyal also started in the USL. So from there, we started covering San Diego Loyal, getting those media credentials. We set a goal starting this podcast, which was to get media credentials to the 2026 World Cup. And so far, we've been on the right track, getting credentials through San Diego Loyal, through San Diego Wave in the NWSL, through getting approved by CONCACAF for the Gold Cup, through CONMEBOL for the Copa America. So it's been a journey for sure. And the next big step for us, making it to that World Cup with media passes.
Yeah, a lot of people they that aren't aware think that San Diego Loyal or even San Diego FC is like the first forays of like football, soccer into the San Diego area. But as far as like a top level, I know San Diego Soccers were around since NASL, the Major Indoor Soccer League, the Continental Indoor Soccer League. You guys also mentioned San Diego Loyal, San Diego Wave. So the sport is ingrained deeply into the culture of the area. As you know, as we're talking about Southern California, right? It's part of the culture. Um, you guys, you guys mentioned San Diego Loyal. I see the Loyal badge back there behind you, Tony. Um, when there was talk about MLS joining, San Diego joining MLS. A lot of people figured, oh, it'd be an easy transition for San Diego Loyal to come in, but boy, were we surprised. Um, what were your thoughts on San Diego Loyal getting, disappearing like that, and then the transition to San Diego FC?
Man, something that we talk about is we can't wait until we can write the book, and where we could have the book written on exactly what happened in those negotiations between San Diego Loyal, San Diego State University, who are the owners of the quote soccer specific stadium in Mission Valley, Snapdragon. But ultimately, it's something that was very unfortunate because San Diego FC had the opportunity to really get a head start. And for as small as a step as they may have valued San Diego Loyal being, it's an advantage to have, regardless of what you may think of, what the actual goal of having an MLS team come into San Diego and have the biggest major league setting for that here be represented in San Diego. But it's also a catch-22 because the same people that were cheering and loving San Diego Loyal, the fans supported that really enjoyed and took USL in, were also the same fans that were picketing alongside Landon Donovan for Soccer City. And that ended up not happening. But at the end of the day, MLS did happen, but it took San Diego Loyal going away to make it a reality. So there's a lot of mixed emotions with teams relocating in San Diego, moving, being here, leaving, dying. San Diego's all too familiar with that on various levels on different sports. And so ultimately, I think it's a missed opportunity to not have some sort of loyal involvement in what ended up being MLS. Naturally speaking, there are people who we've met and people who've interacted that worked at Loyal and throughout that made that transition into MLS. So in a lot of ways, maybe players from San Diego Loyal like Duran Farid don't make that hop. But we met a lot of people, local people who have been in the market, people who understand San Diego, make the leap from USL into MLS in the front office wise. And so those things have been really interesting to follow. But again, it por la millonada, for what you paid for to get into the league, what you would have had to pay for to get San Diego loyal or have them involved, it would have been nothing. It would have been easy for that to have done. But ultimately, we're here now, and that's the ultimate sacrifice that it took to get the MLS here.
Out of curiosity, does the team have a nickname yet?
I don't believe they have a nickname just yet. I mean, I know they're already trying to give nicknames to a rivalry match between Galaxy and San Diego FC, or even LAFC and San Diego FC. So, but the club itself does not have a nickname just yet. I mean, I'm sure they'll end up coming up with something with Chucky Lozano probably. Just, I mean, as he's going to be headlining with the team. But as of now, Tony, I don't know if you've heard of any nicknames that I have.
Not nice ones, at least for now. To be completely honest, and again, like it goes back to the actual naming of it, and what it allows to do, right? Like, what are you going to be? It's difficult for me, a lifelong San Diegan, to tell you what San Diego is all about and its uniqueness. But it's a difficult position to be in. But I don't know. Like, that's hopefully happens organically if it happens, and it's not something that's shoved down. And if it's the SD Flowers and they continue with the flow of San Diego FC, and that's okay. Well, hopefully, people take to that in an organic manner and give the game back to the people.
I think something we did here is that they won't have a mascot either. So they won't have a mascot. So not too sure if they'll even have a nickname, to be honest.
Does that mean we won't see the Friar show up for games every now and then?
Hey, the Friar's been busy down at Petco Park, so and we retired the San Diego Chicken as well.
The chicken's legendary though. Come on. So you mentioned the flow, which to me, and we'll get into it as far as that, because that's my next question. But the flow thing to me was kind of weird. I think I've seen it somewhere before. I could have sworn, I think like FC Cincinnati or some other team in the East had it when they first joined the league, something similar. But how do you feel about how the team has been marketed so far, from the logo to the kit and everything in between?
It's been a crash course in knowing and seeing how these things are done, in knowing the individuals who came up with it, right? And seeing both sides of it, I still am not necessarily satisfied with the outcome of what ended up happening, the crest, the logo, but that's not necessarily for me to decide if it's good or not. I'm just here as a witness. But at the end of the day, I think that this could have definitely not. This definitely doesn't scream San Diego. It doesn't necessarily jump out of the page and say San Diego. You could have done what the San Diego Wave did and gone like literal San Diego. Like, what's the first thing you think about San Diego? Oh, the beach. Okay, cool. Or we're the San Diego Beach, but Wave.
I think of the military.
Yeah, exactly. There was a football team after the Chargers left that was the San Diego Fleet, and that was a little bit more appropriate. The marketing itself, I think, is run of the mill. You could have put this exact words, the verbiage, copied, pasted into another market anywhere that applies to remotely San Diego-ness, where it's unique, it's fast paced, it's diverse, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's a box to check, and we're just going to check it. And that's what it feels like a lot, where if there's a box to check, the MLS and San Diego FC will check it. And that's just a matter of finding, well, okay, what else can we do? What other kind of thing we want to do? What I will say is that they're marketing towards the community and highlighting the community with the Chrome Ball Tour, stopping at every single city within the county of San Diego, has been a success, not necessarily just because of the events put on, but also because the community came out. Like, you start seeing different pockets of people that you don't even think about, right? You mentioned the San Diego Sockers, right? That's the winningest franchise in San Diego. No other professional team has a title, let alone 16. But now they're moving up to Oceanside, and you start seeing different pockets of fans start to form. And so it's really going to be a matter of what San Diego makes of what they have. They were given lemons. See if they're going to make lemonade. You can go ahead and freeze the lemons. You can toss the lemons. You can ask for them to be tossed. You can ask for something else. Like, that's still available here. But at the end of the day, Kickoff is here. Time has run out. There's no more time and discussion for, hey, these kits, hey, these this. It's over. Like, you have weeks until this event and adventure starts.
Yeah, for me, I think a lot of the people, like Tony said, that are working behind the scenes in the front office for San Diego FC are getting used to what it's like being part of the Major League Soccer, right? Just in general, where the crest reveal party, the crest ended up getting leaked before the big crest reveal party, and then same thing with the jerseys, it got leaked by Adidas right before. So I think they're rolling with the punches and they're kind of trying to adapt as best as they can, but yeah, it definitely doesn't scream San Diego as much as it could, but I think little by little they're learning and they'll get used to how everything rolls around. But I mean, so far, whether you love it or not, like that's the crest they have, that's the jersey they have, and I mean that's how they're gonna start being in this league.
Yeah, I'm listening to you guys, and it feels like there was a really big missed opportunity to do something with San Diego, the first major city in California. A place that has it's such a cultural hub in the United States, and I mean, you go to San Diego, a lot of people will say, when they visit California, they'll visit LA, they'll visit San Francisco, but a lot of them are like, I love San Diego. There's something different about San Diego you won't see in the other cities, and um, I feel like they really miss an opportunity to get something from that, and they decided to go the safe route and give such a generic name. Which, to me, you do that for like some city in the middle of nowhere, right? Where they need that to establish some kind of legitimacy. Where San Diego, it's already there, everything is already packaged. You just need to extract it. Well, well, fellas, well, now, like you said, um, season's coming soon, sooner than we think. For LA Galaxy fans, my God, I think some people are still getting over the hangover, and like the season's about to start in about what, like 6, 7 weeks or something like that. It
Mhm.
feels like. We already saw the 2025 MLS calendar get released, and I'm just curious, what dates have you guys circled on the calendar besides the home opener?
Yeah, no, I have a few already, Tony. If you don't mind me going first, I did see that they're gonna play at home against the Seattle Sounders on my birthday on April 5th, so I definitely have that circled on my calendar. I think a lot of people were a little bummed out that they're not scheduled against Inter Miami and Messi's not gonna come to San Diego, so that would have been a big one, but it's not happening. But I mean, I am excited to see LAFC here in San Diego, and I mean just other teams in general. I'm excited to see what Leagues Cup games they end up having here in San Diego. But other than that, those are two of the ones that I kind of have on my calendar right now. Maybe some away games as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of just experimenting to see how these teams interact and like each other and the linkages. There's not a lot of San Diego connections, but we'll take the few, right? There's a CJ Fodry over in Austin, is a local product here. We'll see where Paul Arriola finally ends up, whether or not that Seattle Sounders thing is going to be forever or not. But that's going to be something that's going to be interesting. Toronto, the meeting and revisiting Chucky and Lorenzo Insigne, Napoli teammates once, and so that's going to be very interesting to look at as well. But I'm really looking at the California games. That's going to be the measuring stick for what I feel is going to be San Diego's place in the West overall. It's exactly how you play against these teams away. It's the away matches for San Diego to really try to implement this unique and ambitious play style and honestly just structure of a team, the academy with the right to dream aspect of it, to do that. But every single LA game is one that is circled for on and off the field. It's going to be how the supporter sections are going to measure against each other. It's going to be how much the talent difference and gap is really there, right? Can you have a competitive team of academy right to dream players with some experience go against LAFC or literally the champions, the reigning, defending, undisputed MLS Cup champions, LA Galaxy? Like that's something that's going to be just interesting. And honestly, every game, if I'm honest, every game like is the answer that isn't as attractive, but It's going to be an adventure every single time, and I'm really looking forward to just learning more about these players and uncovering what honestly has been there for a long time. And you know this, I got more better than anybody. Like it's a gem of its own. It's not sometimes the prettiest gem, but it's what you got. Los limones, the lemons again. Like it's what you got.
Well, since you already broached the subject, let's talk about potential rivalries, not just with the LA teams, but also San Jose Earthquakes, maybe. We're all aware. There you go. We're all aware of how Padres fans feel about the Dodgers. Will that transfer over to MLS as well?
Look, Manny Machado is a partial owner of San Diego FC. So there's a built-in transfer of, rivalry and feelings already built in there. Like, I don't think San Diego and LA need another reason to have any sort of rivalry. But you know what? We'll take one in Futbol. And that's something that's going to be really fun to see and to see how San Diego's represented in this aspect. We've always heard San Diego's a hotbed for soccer. It's all this talk. We produce so much talent that goes overseas. They go here. They go like, okay, well now you have a professional team. Let's go ahead and prove it. And that's exactly what San Jose is going to say. That's what the two LAs are going to say. And I think that the organic nature of San Diego being the newest team is just going to breed a bunch of bullying by every other team. Even if San Diego ends up winning, it's going to be like, okay, cool. We'll let little brother, like not even little brother, just like the runt, the baby, the child, the literal, just came out of the womb product. Like, here you go. And LAFC, again, is that measuring stick for a brand new team coming into the league. So literally everything that San Diego does moving forward is going to be compared to LA. And I mean, you can look at the likeness, right? Tom Penn. Is it this Tom Penn Derby? Is this what this becomes? Like it's a Tom Penn on a pole match every single time. Like,
In a shark cage.
in a shark cage, in an inferno match at Starcade. Like, let's do it, Chiva.
I agree with Tony. I think there will be a bit of more of a hatred rivalry against LAFC, just considering how Landon Donovan was such a big part of the San Diego soccer community with Soccer City back in the day, starting up, being the head coach of San Diego Loyal, being an interim head coach at San Diego Wave. I think San Diego will have a soft spot for LA Galaxy in a way, but against LAFC, I think that's going to be kind of like the big hatred rivalry, like the Chivas America type of game that they're gonna want to have. With San Jose, I can see it also be kind of like a rivalry match, something like Chivas Cruz Azul, something like that. But I mean, yeah, I think like Tony said, the Tom Penn Classico or something like that is gonna be a fun one to watch. But I mean, anything whether it's yeah, I think Tony, you had mentioned before that there was some sort of like online rivalry with was it Cincinnati or St. Louis?
Yeah, let's hear about that.
There's some wild, just rogue accounts from both San Diego and Cincinnati FC that decided to go at each other for no particular reason other than, hey, you, like, screw you. And then the San Diego was like, hey, we're just here trying to screw you. And then exactly what ended up happening. And you know what? We're here for it. Like, San Diego is a city next to Tijuana, and the community here is one that is in a constant flow. But it's a fighting spirit where, you know what, at the end of the day, pare quien se pare, whoever's in front, you're just gonna have to go up against them. And if you're a little brother and you're the one that's gonna get picked on, and LAFC and LA Galaxy are like, we'll let the San Jose's, we'll let the Sands kind of deal each other, Los Santos, and San Jose versus San Diego becomes a thing. Like, okay, like let's go ahead and do that. But at the end of the day, I just hope that San Diego does well in terms of representing the city well. That's all I care for. Just represent the city well. And if that means you lose, that's fine. Like I'm not a fan of SDFC, but I'm a fan of my city. So regardless of who you are, you're going to go ahead and represent us as a San Diego, as a 760-619, whatever you want to be, Buyaka, but it's San Diego at the end of the day. So
So, couple questions, guys. One of them is I know somebody in the chat mentioned that there are some people that live in San Diego that are Galaxy fans or have been Galaxy fans. What's going to happen with them? Are they going? Do you think that a lot of them will be like, "Hey, this club is local to us. I think I'm going to follow these guys," or will there be some pressure because Galaxy just won that sixth MLS Cup, and it's like, how do you leave that and cheer for the new guys that are obviously? I mean, you guys mentioned LAFC, right? But more often than not, expansion teams struggle, right? So, what do you say to those people that are like on the fence?
Like I think one of the main people, we call him Papi Chavo. He's one of the main guys in the supporter culture here in San Diego. He mentioned it on our podcast a couple of weeks ago, where he's encouraging everyone to drop any other team and just support San Diego. I think people are gonna like what they like. I am a strong believer of being loyal to your original clubs. Like I'm gonna be a Chivas diehard fan, whether it's to the dead and painful. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those G supporter group members are bound to kind of make their rounds over to San Diego, especially if they don't want to keep making those drive ups, the five or anything like that. Uh, but yeah, it'll be interesting. We also know someone who's a supporter of LAFC, and he's staying loyal with LAFC. I think it's gonna vary on the people that how they view the club. But Tony, I don't know if you have any more insight on this, or
Yeah, no.
like it's really San Diego's kind of weird where people really like what they like. There's so many San Diego natives that love the Dodgers as well. Who knows why? Who knows why? If they're just born and raised in San Diego. Don't look at me like that, Tony. I was born in LA. I was born in LA, so I mean that's why I like LA teams. My grandparents lived their whole lives in LA, so I wasn't born here in San Diego. So don't give me
Hey,
that, Tony.
California is a special place, man. Because I mean, I wasn't born here, but I was raised in LA, and I'm a Niners fan. And growing up, I knew a lot of people that were Chargers fans, and this is before they moved to LA. So I was like, how the hell did they become a Chargers fan? Like me, I never wanted to be associated with Raiders. I didn't care about the Rams because they were in Anaheim. So I was a Niners fan. Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. That's what I grew up with. And so, but the people who were Charger fans, I'm like, man, there's something funny about that kid there. I don't know, man. But I want to go back. So go back to something you mentioned because we were talking about how the organic nature of how teams get traditions, culture, whatever. You mentioned something that really stuck to me, and that's you said Santos, for San Diego FC. What if that's a potential nickname? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say throw it out. I mean, I wouldn't say like get rid of it. I think maybe something that sticks. Especially with the lucha culture. I know I've walked around downtown San Diego before. I've seen decals and stickers and murals of luchadores up on the walls. Up on the in the street corners. Maybe it's something that you guys could embrace and make something. You never know, right?
Yeah, I mean, and
You
that's where
got Rey Mysterio.
yeah, 100%, who may or may not also be liking a couple of LA teams, but that's okay. I mean, and that look, for me, I'll be honest, I'm the bigger wrestling fan than Chiba. He's a little brother to me, and I'll often just drag him through it. And like, this is a custom mask that we actually got made not too long ago here with our logo and everything. And it's exactly what you're saying. Like, it's a culture here, but I think that's going to be something for the supporter culture and supporter union for San Diego FC to really just champion, right? Like that, they had a name calling themselves La Raza, and that was nixed by the club. That the club nixed it, and they said no, that's not going to appeal. There was talks, but ultimately it didn't end up being La Raza. So now it's just the San Diego Independent Supporters Union, name TBD. So something like that, Los Santos, could be really cool and interesting. But it's one of those things where hopefully it comes about organically, because right now it's just a blank slate. Like San Diego FC, go for it. Like, do what you must, do what you will with that. But I like that shout there. It'd be really interesting. Sorry, Chief.
You never know. You could say, "Hey, it started," and that holiday special with News Across the Galaxy, that Los Santos.
Los Santos. Yeah.
So, both of you
I mean,
guys,
hey,
I have a big
San
question
Diego
for you.
FC.
Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say San Diego FC has been marketing a lot on the luchador vibes. I mean, they dropped their schedule with a luchador uh, video that they dropped. So I mean, that could potentially be something that they are labeled as.
Yeah. Maybe you guys can push Rey Mysterio to have a homecoming and like cut ties with all those other teams, right? Be like, hey, embrace your roots, homie.
Still
Maybe you
lives,
can have Dom Mysterio do it. Oh no, mi sucio.
bro. I'm so down. I'm so down for that. He got arrested here in East Lake. Chula Vista PD. One of the
There you
18.
go, dude.
That, that,
Have him show up, like in a van, all tied up like Hannibal Lecter, and have him
like
take it off, and he's wearing a San Diego kit.
Look, Edgar, I think Chiba is the younger brother I never had, man. And like this wavelength is exactly where I exist. And
Yeah.
just to give you some insight on this before sorry to interrupt once again, but I
No, go
see
ahead.
this guy 8 hours a day. We work in the same office, less than 5 feet from each other. And then we do this. Like this, our day job includes just like doing this and just going back and forth. So like I see him more than I see my family. So like
Mhm.
any of this banter, like this and that, like that's as it gets, as natural as it gets. Yes, rest in peace, Rey Mysterio Senior.
Yeah.
100%. El tío del colibrí, el tío, the uncle of Rey Mysterio Jr. Drop the Junior. This can be a wrestling podcast now. Sorry.
No, we could go on and on and on. But like I was saying, I have a big question for you guys because I'm really curious. I know that in the past, a lot of people from San Diego have crossed over the border to cheer for Tijuana in the Liga MX. Are we going to see something similar? Because I know Padre fans, they bleed all the way down into Baja California, and I've heard about people from Mexico coming over, to watch Padres game. Are we going to see something similar with San Diego FC?
It's gonna be gonna go both ways. They already established a relationship immediately. Cholos, inteligentes, intelligence immediately. We're like, oh, there's an MLS team. Hey guys, let's go ahead and have ourselves a rivalry. And so they already agreed to 3 friendlies over a course of 3 years at Snapdragon Stadium. Why not TJ? Why not Tijuana? Because you could make dollars instead of pesos. Like boom. That's
So
literally
true.
it, right? Like that's literally it. But again, much like the creation of San Diego FC and people who are LA Galaxy fans that may want to be San Diego FC fans or LAFC, San Diego FC fans, Cholos didn't exist 15 years ago. Everybody in Tijuana had another team to cheer for, and they had to go through that awkward process of, well, I was born and raised in Tijuana. Did never existed here, so new input means new output. It really put people in a tough place, and and it's like, okay, well, they'll eventually play against the top tier league, and yeah, they ended up doing that. So I think the fan base is going to become organic, whether or not it's already being stoked enough to fill the stadium with 35,000 San Diego FC fans right now. I'm not too sure. I don't think that's the case right now. But hopefully it builds over time. I mean, look, the Padres have always had a strong, solid fan base, but I remember being at those games with 12 people, and the Padres sucked, and nobody wanted to be there. And that's just the reality of it. And if this project with MLS and SDFC and the Right to Dream and the Academy and really building it out this way doesn't pan out, you're gonna have yourself an awkward soccer specific empty stadium.
That thing about the empty stadiums in San Diego. I remember I've been to Dodger away games before, and we used to, man, we would rile up people on the way to the stadium, and Padre fans would be yelling at us, and we're like, "Hey, why you mad, man? We're here to stimulate your local economy. Calm down." And they
Those are
would
fighting
fill us with
words.
seats,
Amen.
and they would get so upset, man. But let's switch back to the team real quick because we're getting close to wrapping this up. But getting Chucky Lozano was a big get, not just for San Diego, but for Major League Soccer. What are your expectations of him? And as a follow up to that, because the roster build is still ongoing, what are your aspirations for San Diego FC's Los Santos inaugural season?
Yeah, I think. Sorry about that, but yeah, no, I think Chucky Lozano is definitely a big signing for San Diego FC. Realistic expectations of Chucky is that he's going to be a leader, but I mean, he's also pushing 30 already, right? He's 29, so I don't know if a lot of fans are expecting a big impact like Carlos Vela had with LAFC. We all know how he dominated in the Major League Soccer, so we'll see if Chucky can kind of reciprocate that and just be kind of like what Carlos Vela was for LAFC. As for the season, I think San Diego FC will struggle in the first half of the season, and until they finalize their roster, they'll kind of have a better idea of where they stand in their first year. But I do think they'll struggle at first. I don't expect too many wins or big wins in the first half of the season, especially with the right to dream model and the play style that they want to implement. I think we've spoken with Coach Mikey Vadas and sporting director Tyler Hibbs, and they also say like, you know what, it might be difficult at first to build out this roster and to kind of like have the style down. So I do think they'll struggle at first, but I mean, in the years that come down, who knows where San Diego FC will be in the league.
No, it's an interesting project with Chucky, just because that was the target man the entire time. San Diego FC was going to have Irving El Chucky Lozano be part of this build, regardless, come hell or fire. Like, they were going to get their guy, and that's what they did. Whether or not you look back and say, is this just a replication of what LAFC did with Carlos Vela? You can definitely argue that, and I won't get much pushback from me. But it's really a test of a measuring stick of the talent that's out there, right? Chucky Lozano right now, some say we're now past his prime, playing in PSV Eindhoven on a loan, hasn't had as much production as you have come to expect from Chucky Lozano, getting that amount of play time that he gets, or a little amount of play time due to injury. But it's really a measuring stick too, as far as like, all right, this is entering a brand new piece into a round peg into a square piece. But sometimes if you try hard enough, it's going to work. But it's a lot of learning, and there's a lot of embedded excuses already for San Diego FC for them to say, hey, it's going to be a wash. Coach Mikey Vadas, it's a first head coach. Like, this guy hasn't coached a senior team outside of a couple of weeks, a couple of days with the U.S. men's national team. The right to dream model we keep alluding to, right? Like, it's academy. It's cheap kids. There's talent from Ghana, from Denmark, from Tijuana that can get harvested from the local area. You're going to go ahead and put them on the starting 11. You're going to develop them and sell them off to Europe, and that's the pathway. But if you can get some success through that, that's going to be a mark of success. And who started that? Chucky Lozano. And Chucky Lozano has been very vocal that that's really what pushed him to be part of this project to begin with, is him coming up through Pachuca and him coming up through the canteras and him coming up through the academies, and Right to Dream is a similar system. So do I think Chucky's going to do well? Yeah. His play style doesn't necessarily lead to goals for him, but his involvement, his impactful style of play, and the way he plays hard on the field is going to really dictate the pace and the heart of this team. So hopefully, he remains healthy throughout, but there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving pieces, and it's an ambitious project what San Diego FC has at the end of the day. And it's going to be interesting to really for its inaugural season.
I know that it's been floating around this entire week is the rumors about Brandon Vasquez, who plays for Monterrey right now in Liga MX. Before I let you guys address that, I did contact a guy I know who covers Monterrey at Rayados 90 on Twitter. I asked him, hey, is there any traction to this? What's going on? He said, I haven't heard anything from the Mexican media or Merlo. The concrete one is still San Jose. He says that he hasn't seen anyone else confirm the rumor to San Diego FC, but it doesn't surprise him, he says, because he thinks that Brandon Vasquez will always end up there. What are your thoughts on that?
We actually spoke with Brandon Vasquez when he came over to Cholos, and just asked him the open question post match. Hey, like, San Diego FC literally just started. Would you ever want to come back or enjoy? And he said, you know what? Obviously concentrated on Monterrey, but we'll see what the future holds. But same thing. It's always will he come back? Same thing with Paul Arriola. Like, there's that clear pathway for him to come back. And yeah, from our sources that we're getting as well, San Jose right now is leading, and that's been the team that's been pursuing with an actual offer and pursuing Vasquez rather heavily. What we've come to learn is that the clubs have conversations with the teams. So if you want to just say, hey, somebody sent a text to somebody near Brandon Vasquez, and those are talks, then yeah, those talks are happening. But is that going to be a hijack move where San Diego FC is going to just have great, even better offer than one San Jose is actually offering, which is, from what we hear, is actually pretty neat, pretty nifty if you're Mr. Brandon. But it's gonna end up being one of these things where, yeah, it's always gonna be the story. Will he come back? Will he want to be here? If it doesn't happen this season or in the next 2 seasons, couple seasons, it's going to eventually happen with Vasquez being here in San Diego. And why not? Again, you have talent that the city's brought up. Why not go ahead and bring it back? Joe Corona is, getting it together in Cholos as a center back, bits and pieces, but he's getting it done. And that'd be somebody who's also interesting for depth as well.
Yeah, and I mean, something we've learned from our sources as well is that the Mexican teams do tend to put a pretty hefty price tag on their players. I know there were big rumors of Erika Gutierrez going from Chivas to San Diego FC and, joining his lifelong best friend Chucky Lozano in San Diego. And from our sources confirmed that was going to happen. And, players are just too pricey. So if it's the right price, San Diego FC will talk and negotiate. But if it's way too expensive, I think San Diego FC is not scared to walk away from it. And it's something similar with Brandon Vasquez.
So, one more question regarding roster building is one that's it's been around forever, and that is, excuse me, Kevin De Bruyne. Right? Kevin. Hey, Kevin, you want to say something? Yes. What? Kevin. What about the Kevin De Bruyne rumors? Is that something that still has some validity to it, or is it just a bunch of excited people trying to drum up interest?
2 parts. In the beginning, where the rumor started, there were, again, those talks, right? A text to an agent quantifies as they're talking. But yeah, they got a little bit further than that. Kevin De Bruyne was in very early negotiations with San Diego FC, and essentially, Kevin De Bruyne was asking for too much money. He is the most expensive player in the world, wage-wise, and so when he was negotiating, Messi had just happened as well. So he was, and his team were trying to match those same numbers, but at the same time, it's like, well, dude, one's Messi. Like, I know the talent, the excellence, the top tier level that people like us know and have and appreciate. Kevin De Bruyne, amazing. The story all the way from Wolfsburg, Chelsea, ACL, torn in Florida, like all that, and coming back, Man City, and great, but it's still Messi. You can't get that. And so that's part one. And then talks cooled. Let's throw a Sergio Ramos. Let's throw a Navas in there. Let's throw an Ochoa. And then now it's kind of like, hey, how you doing? Hey, Kevin. Hey, San Diego, see what you've been up to. And literally that's kind of where talks are in right now. And so are the talks happening? Yes. Will it be Kevin De Bruyne? More than likely not, because of the frugal nature of this project for San Diego FC.
Let me ask you guys, just to be absolutely sure, does San Diego own his discovery rights? Because that's a big thing in MLS, kind of like the Gam Tam Monopoly funny money. Do we know who has his discovery rights?
As of right now, I don't think it can be disclosed where that's at. But I as soon as we can, and that's something that we've prided ourselves in is making sure that with the sources that we end up having is accurate, because I don't like being wrong, Edgar. I don't like it. I don't like it. Chiva gets on my case of like, why did you tweet that? I'm like, hey man, like, sorry, you saw the source. It happened,
Yeah.
but we'll disclose more. As
We had a few players in the expansion draft, and I was like, Tony ended up being right after. So
Yeah, something you'll find out is that sometimes people like to stir the pot, and then you have the people that don't just like to stir this pot. They like to see the league burn. So,
yeah.
But thank you guys so much for joining us tonight, especially during this busy holiday season. Tony, Chiva, I'm sure we're going to see more of you guys throughout the season, especially because we're going to have the season opener. And we look forward to a conversation with you guys when we could talk about the actual rosters and about expectations once we have a full roster. And more about what Galaxy fans, can expect on the season opener. What places to hang out. I mean, you're asking anybody in LA, where to hang out in San Diego. That's cool, right? But the game is not in downtown San Diego like people are used to going to Petco Park. It's a little bit up north in Snapdragon, so we can discuss all that, a lot of other fun things. But for now, thank you guys so much for joining us. Where can people find you guys on socials?
Chiva, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, people can find us on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, at San Diego punto futbol. On Twitter, it would, or X would be San Diego underscore football. Or you can just visit our website, San Diego punto futbol, and that's our website, and you'll find all of our articles written by our very own Abraham Cepeda on there. Big shout out to him making most of our articles happen. And yeah, and then you can also support other podcasts under our network, like Club Deportivo Movie Club, where ESPN writer Cesar Hernandez is a host of that podcast, along with a friend from Wisconsin, Drew Steck. But yeah, find us at San Diego punto futbol.
And then you can check us out every Monday at 8 p.m. on our channel, San Diego punto futbol, San Diego football. Two balls to the mic is the name of our show. And literally anything soccer in San Diego, we're here to cover it. And we thank you for the invitation to come on, and it's going to be very fun to really get into this world. And again, thank you for the warm invite, not just here, but to introduce us to the spectrum of MLS support. So and coverage. So thank you again for that, and we look forward to it. Like it's gonna be fun, man. I'm really excited. So check that out, and then check out San Diego Soccer's. I do color commentary, so I'll just plug that.
Nice. That is so cool. Look at that. No wonder you got so excited when I mentioned the Soccers.
Yeah, man, we gotta sell tickets for now. Hey, it's closer to LA than it is to actual San Diego now, up in
Good old
Oceanside.
Tony sold out to the Soccers.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? It's time for San Diego to take something from LA, right? We took your basketball team, we took your NFL team. Come on, right?
Hey,
We
hey,
took your
hey!
soul with the Padres.
I'll have you know. Again, fighting words, Edgar. The Clippers are back in San Diego. The San Diego
I know.
Clippers are back
I know.
in the G League.
G League.
In the
Yeah,
same arena where the San Diego Sockers play. All right.
yeah. I'm a Clippers fan, so
I like that. Okay. I knew
So,
the vibe.
no, as you guys can see, if you guys take a look at the comments that we've been getting on the live chat, a lot of people are wishing you guys well. Obviously, not against us, but they're wishing you well. They're welcoming you into the league. That's just the general MLS family. It's something different about this league that you won't find in NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, where there's a lot of tribalism involved. I feel like in MLS, it's more of like everybody feels like, we're all in MLS, we're all in this family. And yes, we have our rivalries, some of them more intense than others, but in the end, we're all family and we're all looking out for each other and making sure that the league not just survives, throughout the year, but thrives into the future and is considered one day one of the strongest leagues in the world. And that's our hope and dreams. But for now, hey, thanks you guys. Once again, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to anybody who joined us. From me, from Bryant, News Across the Galaxy, I'm sure from the guys down south, we all wish you a Happy New Year. And like I always say, Wu-Tang for life. Stay safe out there. Don't drink and drive. Get home safe. And, well, we'll see you next season, folks. Take us away, Brian.